Hello, I am Paul. Disclaimer. Enjoy the video.
The room was said to be unusual, and when the four girls saw it, they agreed it was unusual. The space itself was unusual. Ceiling tiles were missing, and nature was carving its way back inside. There were 2 wooden beds with broken planks and no mattresses. A single light bulb barely lighted the room with its yellow tint. Yes, the space itself was unusual, but the story behind it was worse. There were many abandoned rooms in the Suncrest Valley Orphanage for girls. The basement once was home to plenty of young girls orphaned during the war. Those were the golden days of the building. However, a decrease in orphans and an increase in flooding made the basement unnecessary and unsuitable for the girls. The basement was abandoned, it is said, except for one room. An unusual room. 3 girls in uniform stood in the middle of this unusual room. Most orphanages don't require the children to use specific clothing, but this one did. "Here we are, ladies," said Naomi. "I heard that the last time someone disappeared in this room was 2 years ago. The girl hasn't spoken since," said Mia. "How can you know she disappeared if she actually disappeared?" said Casey, 3 years younger than the others. "No, she survived. It was the sister that disappeared." "What happened to her?" "Don't you know what disappeared means? No one knows what happened to her." "I mean, what happened to the sister?" "Oh, she never talked again. I already said that." "And we're going to find out what happened to the sisters that disappeared," added Naomi, putting out a homemade Ouija board, a clock, and a flashlight from her backpack. "What? I thought we were only spending the night here," said Casey. "Are you scared?" taunted Mia. "We are spending the night here," said Naomi, placing the flashlight under her chin. "The night of the anniversary of the Suncrest Valley Orphanage accident." "It was no accident," added Mia. "It was murder." "The other girl killed her?" Casey was getting nervous. "They say this room was used to isolate difficult girls," said Naomi. "The sisters were more than difficult. They were witches." "Witches," echoed Mia. "And in their attempt to leave this place, they summoned something they couldn't handle. A demon," added Mia. "And every year, that thing comes back, looking for the girl that survived." "To kill her!" shouted Mia, grabbing Casey. The girls laughed, but Casey was terrified. "You guys are mean. I'm not staying here," she said, leaving. "I hope the demon gets you." And she left. "Pussy," said Mia. "She's gonna regret it tomorrow. Now, shall we?" said Naomi, placing the Ouija board between them. They started the seance under the sound of the ticking clock. "Spirits, we are here to talk to you," said Naomi. "Tell us what happened all those years ago." Nothing happened at first, but then the planchette moved slowly. D-E-A-D-L-Y. Deadly, it spelled out. "Deadly what?" insisted Naomi. "Deadly, F-A-R-T. Deadly fart, it spelled." Both of them laughed. "Take this seriously, Mia." "Couldn't help it. I don't believe in these things." "Humor me." All right. The girls started again. Nothing happened. Nothing unusual could be felt. Nothing could be heard. Why did the clock stop? Asked Mia. Before they could inspect it, the planchette moved on its own, fast and straightforward. Do not open the door, it spelled. The girls stood speechless. How are we supposed to keep the door closed if there is no lock? Naomi had a terrified look on her face. Let's leave. We've had our fun, said Mia. They jammed the things into their backpack and made their way to the door. Naomi went pale. Do you hear that? Footsteps. Slow, painful footsteps. And something dragging. It sounded like someone was barefoot. A knock on the door. The girls exchanged a terrified expression. Who is it? Mia asked, pushing her ear to the door. Mia, Naomi pleaded, please don't open the door. Don't do it. Casey? Mia asked, but there was no reply. This is not funny, Casey. The air moved louder. It whistled and turned in the corridor space outside. You could hear it against the stone floor, brushing against the walls, leaking through the cracks, pressing against the door, turning the door handle. It's trying to open the door, screamed Mia, turning the handle in the opposite direction. Mia couldn't stop the turning, so she could only try to keep the door closed with her body. Naomi helped her too. The air was blowing harder. It pushed against the door. They tried to keep the door closed, but they couldn't. Something wanted in. It wanted in badly. It pushed against the girls until their door was ajar. Then it stopped. The girls kept pushing, but it was stuck. Mia opened her eyes and saw a head right in front of her. No eyes, no face. Just a mouth. A crooked, distorted mouth. It had crooked teeth, sharp and overlapping. It had a tongue that was twisted and dripping a black substance. It was almost smiling at her. Mia screamed just as the thing reached at her. Two arms emerged from the darkness and started pulling Mia from the neck. Naomi tried pulling her back, pulling for her dear life. Let her go, she said out loud, pleading. The girls fell backwards, away from the door. It had stopped pulling. Naomi breathed in relief until she saw Mia. Her face was covered in blood. She was crying, weeping. Part of her face was missing. Dark blood was gushing out of it. Help me, she kept whispering, reaching for Naomi. The air blew again, and the door swung open. Naomi covered her ears, trying to drown out the air and the pleading. The wind shook every corner of the room, crawling through the ceiling. A human-like figure entered the room. It had no face, just a mouth, and its limbs kept twisting and looked sort of goofy, as if they were completely broken. It fell to the floor, and it dragged itself, its limbs like serpents. It approached Mia. Naomi shut her eyes. The wind stopped. Now the silence was deafening. Naomi opened her eyes and screamed. It had taken her face. All that was left was a mouth. No eyes, no nose, no ears. A few strips of hair were left. Chunks of her scalp had been ripped out. Her body was bent in an unnatural position. Her back, a U-shape. Her limbs twisted like cooked noodles, completely broken. A few fingers missing. Her chest. Oh God, she was breathing. She was still alive. Mia, said Naomi. She tried to reach her, but a wind pushed her back. Slithering arms emerged from the darkness. They twisted and stretched through the floor. They grabbed Mia's body. They pulled her into the darkness. Some say Mia ran away from the orphanage. Others say she was victim of the witch sister's curse. As for Naomi, well, who knows? She hasn't said a word since.
Thank you for watching. Leave a like and a comment. Subscribe. I am still the best host.